Yeah, didn't want to forget that again. So welcome to day 7 of 7 days of rest and resting in the womb of creation. And so I just like to, this day, the focus is on kinship. Kinship has taken on a richness that I never attributed it to it before throughout this process. So I would just like to invite you each to go in and
join the meeting.
Somebody, oh, okay. David, you must have gotten bumped off. So thanks.
Yeah, I have a challenge. Oh, I have a challenge sometimes where I am with reception.
That's okay. I can relate to that. So I'll just keep letting you back in. So keep joining us if it happens again. We love having you here. So we're going into the word kinship now, into the frequency, the energy that we can go into when we just sit with that word for a moment. And what does that frequency and your relationship with this word, what does that bring up for you?
You know, hi everybody. I'm gonna try to hang on here. I have to head out, but I'm glad to be here. And well, you know, kinship is weird. If I think about it, I think about like, this is gonna sound weird. Like people, you know, related people living up in the Appalachians, which I live here, but like fighting kinship, like battle of the kinship, or that it's not always pleasant. But in my heart, now, like a new meaning, we're all connected and we are all connected from the heart. But there's a big like disconnect from whatever my stereotypical thought of the word kinship is and what it really is. There, I'm complete.
Well, and that makes total sense, because how many of us have had completely peaceful and harmonious family lives with our kin? I mean, stuff comes up and wounds happen and life continues, and we are designed to move through all of those challenges and come out on the other side. It's almost like we need to go through a gauntlet and get whacked a few times. And then when we come out on the other side and we look back at where we've been, we say, wow, I did that. And I've learned what strength is. And I've learned what courage is. And I've learned what persistence is. And I've learned more about who I am because I've come through that. And that is what, from what from my experiences, that is what the kinship, our families are for. So the way I've come to see this is that the people that we choose to be birthed, the family that we choose to be birthed into, is a soul choice. And we choose that for a reason, from a soul perspective, based on what it is that we want to focus on during the time that we're here. And if we want to learn to align with truth, the truth that is within us, and to stand in that truth without compromise and without apology. And just imagine yourself saying something along those lines, or whatever it is that you said when you were speaking before your entire soul family, what it is that you wanted most while you're here. And all of these souls who you are completely connected with and who love you dearly and would do anything for you, they start popping up and volunteering and saying, oh, wow, that's what you want? That is so amazing. Welcome, Angela. That is so beautiful. I will come in before you and I will be your mother. And I will take a stance where I won't recognize you. I won't see you. I won't even hear you. I will just be in my own world. And you will find your way from within yourself instead of from me. And then the person who is to be your dad speaks up and says, I'll do this to help you with that, so that you can be completely resourceful and find the answers within yourself. I won't be there for you. I'll be working all the time, whatever, And so our kin is part of our soul family. And everyone has volunteered to play a certain role in each other's lives, so that we can each explore what it is that we want to explore. And it is a contract. And, and the commitment to that contract, whatever it might look like, can be pretty relentless, especially when we're young. But and that's the gauntlet that we go through. And then, like I said, when we come out on the other side of that gauntlet, it's like, whew, wow, I never would have thought that I could do that and come through it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, I love questions.
Okay. So there's been people that have come into my life that look so familiar and become very important people in my path, like sisters, I would say. And then my brother and I grew up with, a lot of abuse, and I have found this path, and I found peace with my family, with my parents, and my brother hasn't, and I've had to leave him. So I'm just curious how that works, how some people come who aren't our blood and seem like maybe we were related in a past life, and then other people who are our blood, we just have to find boundaries and peace with that.
We do. And there are many explanations for that. The one that's coming to mind is that when we speak what it is that we most want, and very often, if you believe in reincarnation and that we've gone through different iterations to learn different levels and different aspects of ourselves, we get so close sometimes without quite getting there. And this is a lifetime when many of us said, I don't care what it takes. I want to remember my origins. I want to remember the divine kinship that we all share. And some of those beings who volunteered, in this case, your brother, said, well, I'm willing, I've gotten pretty close too, and I am willing to not get there this time, to take a different path, so that you will be constantly reminded of what happens when we don't take that path that gets us, that leads us to where it is that in this case you, Amy, wanted to go. And it's not, it seems like it might be a sacrifice, but in the bigger picture, it's not even a sacrifice for your brother, because he is doing so much good for you in keeping you and supporting you and making the decisions that you are making to be there. And in that bigger picture, in the divine perfection of all of this playing out, it's like he is, what's the term that I want? It's like he gets his wings, because he has chosen a path that will help you to get yours. How does that sound to you?
Sorry, it makes me very emotional. I've talked to him and tried to help him. And I've said we're on a journey, and he's like, I'm not on an effing journey. Like he's like, can't even see the path, and he suffers as if he's in hell.
Yeah.
And it hurts me so much. Somebody told me that he was my father in my past life, and I greatly disappointed him. And one day I even called him and apologized, and he didn't even ask why. It was very weird.
Well, in the bigger picture, when we see things from the top of the mountain instead of at the bottom of the mountain, looking up, thinking it's impossible to climb that height, we see things very differently. And so, like I said, from the top of the mountain, as you look from that higher perspective, you can see that he is also clearing up some karma, that he is also doing what is in his soul interest. And there are so many reasons, like I said, that we choose what we choose. So trusting that everything is in divine order, that it is playing out correctly, and that if it is his desire on a soul level to transcend the suffering and move into light, then maybe what the two of you worked out is that you would get there. You would not, that you would just be so committed to awakening and returning to your purity during this lifetime. And then maybe if that's in his highest good, maybe you can support him in getting there. And on the path, who knows what can happen when we live the questions.
So when do you think we determine that?
Well, there are certainly contracts that we make, and then they get changed in the course of human events. Depending on how much, it depends on so many things, but but in the course of human events, since I already used that once, the situation can change. We can have one epiphany can change our direction in a way that we didn't even imagine that we would get to in our soul choices. And in cases of near death and windows of opportunity to actually leave the planet, when those show up, sometimes we choose to stay and begin again, and sometimes we choose to leave. Yeah, it can vary so greatly. I've lost 3 younger brothers and sisters because they had this window that opened up, and all 3 of them chose to leave. And it took me a long time to reconcile that. But I accept it now. And whether we choose to leave or stay doesn't necessarily mean that everyone that chooses to be here is going to wake up. I think many people on the planet has chosen not to wake up for exactly what I just described to you, Amy, with your brother, because they are here to show us what happens when we don't. And it supports the ultimate evolution of humanity on that greater level, so that more people can say, whoa, that's not what I want for me. I can't go that way. And it keeps us on our path. Those people can be rumble strips for us. Not all the rumble strips that we encounter are on the inside. And it can be very jarring and it can be very painful, absolutely, to watch people who we love so much suffer. So just going into, like I said, I mentioned this a few days ago, Karina Whitefeather, who is offering some, her gift during this week, said, hope is holding on and trust is letting go. When we hold on to hope, there is an expectation there that maybe your brother will come out of this. And that very expectation it's very similar to a judgment. That if you can do it, he can do it. And, but what if that's not his path? And that doesn't mean that we don't support and that we don't try to help and offer our help whenever we can. Because the love is there, and ensuring those people in our lives that we love them and that we are witnessing their struggle is really helpful to them, whether they accept it in the 3D world or not. It's helpful to their soul, because the witnessing of any wound, the witnessing of any struggle is necessary for the transcendence of that struggle. People want and need to have people witness their pain before they can let it go. It's like children who want to say something and aren't feeling heard. And they just keep saying it over and over and over again because they feel like they're not being heard. And the moment someone sits and acknowledges and says, oh, I'm so sorry that you're feeling that. I'm so sorry. I see how difficult this is for you. It doesn't need to be repeated anymore. So acknowledging what is and accepting those people in our lives who are challenging to us for who they are without trying to change them gives them some space that they can choose that change on their own. Does that all make sense?
Yes, it's very helpful. I just don't talk to him anymore, and I just send him love on a daily basis through the universe, but I just had to walk away. But I don't have anger. I don't have anger. I sit there every day and wish him peace and love and strength.
That's perfect. I'll share just quickly. When I was divorced, my daughters were 16 and 18. And they were so angry with me because I initiated the divorce because I was dying. I had to. And it went a year and a half, and I was suffering as much as they were, and I felt guilty for doing what I had done to break up my family, and it was not very pretty. And one day I was meditating and I understood that the guilt that I was carrying was keeping their anger in place. Because when they tuned into me and they felt that guilt, they felt like I had done something wrong. And I knew that I did the right thing. So I just found a way. It just happened, really. It's not like I even tried, but I knew that I had to let it go, and it all left. All of that guilt. And I was able to stand in the light of my truth and say, I did what I had to do for me and for them as well. And I opened my heart and found that place of pure love that I have for my daughters from the day They were conceived from the day they were born and beyond. And I lasered light, 2 rays of light from my heart right to theirs. One of them was in college, one of them was with her dad, and they never, very rarely communicate. But I just did that for as long as I could hold that space. And within 24 hours, my oldest daughter called me from college. She said, "Mom, I really miss you. I want to see you." And I was like, wow, that is amazing. And within that same 24 hours, my younger daughter, with no conversation with my older daughter, called me and said, "Mom, I really miss you and I want to see you." Same exact words. And it was because I let go of my guilt and I opened to true love, to the pure love that I have for them. And that was my focus. And in that moment, everything changed within and without. So that's just one example. We can't take on the suffering of other people to heal them. It doesn't work that way. And when we let go of the need to heal them, to change them, to fix them, and accept them in the struggle that they're in, that acceptance alone opens them, whether it's spoken, whether they even know it consciously or not. But it can be quite magical. And doing that, knowing what is possible, but without expectations that that is the result that will happen. Because we can put out the energy. Our job is to put out the purest energy we can and connect with the divine kinship that we all share. And it's not our responsibility that the people that we send that to, that we radiate that to, does what we would like them to do with it. It's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to radiate it, offer it, send it out, and to continually purify our own thought process, our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual being. And as I've said before, when we cleanse our inner waters, the mother's oceans are purified. It extends out to everything. And that is the nature of kinship. We are here to show each other what pure, unconditional, loving acceptance is, period. Once we do that, what happens from there, how people receive that or not, is their journey. We just keep showing the love. That doesn't mean we let people walk on us. That doesn't mean we become a doormat. It means that we stand in our truth. And when we need space, we take it. Remember, there are boundaries that are appropriate for us, and there are boundaries that are armor. The armor, our job is to take our armor off and just be. Just let the world see us for who we are. Because what's so juicy about this is that unless we show the world who we are, we cannot be seen for who we are. And so showing the world who we are is our challenge. Trusting that who we are is perfect in our own right. That we don't have to do anything to prove our worthiness or our lovability or any of that. We simply dare. Through all of the gauntlets that we've been through in our lives, we have come to this place of saying, this is me. I don't need to be somebody else. I don't want to be somebody else. And I don't want to meet somebody else's expectation of who I should be, who they see that I should be. I'm here to offer my gifts, my sacred medicine. And if I don't allow that sacred medicine to radiate from within me, that sacred medicine is never experienced. by ourselves or anyone else. It's never shared, it's never offered. So that was a loaded question, I guess. And as we understand this, it makes such a difference in the quality of our own lives and the space that we can hold for others to be themselves.
Thank
There,
you.
yeah, yeah. You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Any other comments or questions on any of that? That was a loaded amount of information, and my goal isn't to put you on overload, but I know that you're just being reminded here. So even though everything that we've gone through this week may feel like it puts you on overwhelm, breathe it in and let it settle where it needs to settle within you to awaken the places that need reminders and to lighten up the places that are holding on to darkness. Anything else? So before we go into meditation, I am just going to read the description that came through me for kinship today. Well, when I wrote it before. So the description that came through me is a return to kinship with all life is a return to our origins. This is the divine kinship level. To return to our origins, to our original divine blueprint as pure, unconditional love, as the essence that births, revitalizes, sustains, and nourishes all of life. Kinship with all of life is the remembrance and the full embodiment of the original principles that qualify the elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, of which we too are formed. So even meditating with the elements, the qualities of the elements of earth and water are the physical embodiment from the natural perspective of the feminine principles. Everything that we can learn from water and earth are feminine principles. And we carry that within us. Our earth is the physical molecules, atoms. And the water is all the fluid that runs through us from lymphatic fluid and I mean, all the different kinds, the craniosacral fluids and blood, the water that's inside the cells, the salt water that's outside the cells, all of it. And then when we tune into fire and air, we tune into learning about the masculine principles. And we remember them because that's where we come from. And tuning into the space between the subatomic particles brings it all together because that is the container, as I said before, that assures our oneness. That reminds us that nothing can be separate. So tuning into those qualities within ourselves, the fire of passion, the fire of knowledge, even. Knowledge is embodies a masculine principle. It's what we do with that knowledge that determines our evolution. And so the masculine principles really embody evolution, how we put our gifts out into the world determines that evolution. And the feminine is determined by our involution, what we're willing to take in, what we're willing to acknowledge within ourselves, what we're willing to nourish and nurture and love within ourselves. That's the feminine principles. And we all have all of it. And when we are in balance and harmony with those elemental factors, the qualities of those elements of life that comprise, that are the foundational composition of everything, then we are in kinship. Any thoughts or questions on that before we move on? You're welcome to speak. Okay, so just take that in and add it to all the other files that you've been bringing into your being. So let's breathe. Let's align with our kinship with every cell in our body. Thanking every cell in our body for sustaining us, for keeping us alive, for being a part of this whole experience that we're in. And the molecules and the atoms and the subatomic particles, all of that is part of this process that is evolving. Our kinship with the physical level of our being, our kinship with our body, loving ourselves, just like we talked about with loving those around us unconditionally, accepting unconditionally everything that is our physical body. This is our sacred temple. Acknowledging it as a sacred temple and thanking it for serving us so well and for speaking to us when we forget to listen, speaking louder to us when we forget to hear. The kinship that we have with this physical body, whether it's functional or dysfunctional, matters to our experience on this planet. Noticing our kinship with the water that flows through us and the energy that flows through those waterways within our own being. How many times have we put a dam in place to prevent that flow because it felt overwhelming or scary or unsafe? Looking at the relationship that we have with those elements within us that are foundational to who we are. Our relationship to all that we are is foundational to the way we see the world. Looking at our relationship to water is akin to looking at our relationship to our emotional body. How do we respond to our emotional communications? The flow of emotion through us. Emotion is energy in motion. How do we respond when those emotions are flowing through us? Do we shut down to them? Do we open and embrace the flow? Where are you in between those two options in your relationship to the flow of water within you? Just visualize, feel that flow happening, because it's always happening at some level. There are times when we need to slow down the water within us. There are times when we need to re-energize that flow. Are we paying attention and listening with total presence to making those adjustments as they are needed? And then noticing our kinship with the fire element that is within us. How is our digestion going? How is our solar plexus serving us? Is that will center where the fire of life force is centered in our body? Are we using our will for the highest good? Are we aligning our will with divine will and tuning into that fire of the universe, the fire of knowledge, the fire of moving that is required for us to move forward in our lives toward an evolutionary process that serves all life? This is the masculine principle. The passion that drives us is also the fire element. And when we take that passion of the fire, sometimes that passion is too much. It overwhelms us. It exhausts us. And so when we marry that fire with the water to calm it and cool it, then we bring the masculine and the feminine forward in a way that is balanced and in harmony. And we radiate that balance, harmony into the world. The elements are complementary. The earth and the water, the embodiment of the feminine principles, is meant to be complementary to the fire and the air that are the masculine principles, and vice versa. Each complement the other. And then the air element within our body, the breath, how the breath moves, allows for movement of the water through us. How the breath informs the flowing river of blood and all of the rivers that flow through our body. How does that air, that masculine element, inform the feminine element within us in complementarity and reciprocity? What does that balance look like within our own being? And what does the imbalance look like and feel like when we need communication from the rumble strip? Being aware of all of these subtle and yet very powerful, not so subtle messages that we get with every breath that we take when we are present with and for and within ourselves, and with and for and within the greater cosmos, the earth, Mother Earth and Father Sky. And the unity that comes between Mother Earth and Father Sky, with human beings as the bridge. And then going into the space between the subatomic particles within us. Recognizing that when we go into this space, we occupy space throughout all of Mother Earth, in the spaces between the grains of sand and soil, in the spaces between the molecules of water that flow in the aquifers, the underground rivers. That we are simultaneously one with all of it. And then in our awareness of this space between the subatomic particles, again, for those of us who have a womb, and that it doesn't matter if that womb has been surgically removed, the energy of the womb is still present, and it still is the same as the energy within the womb of creation that we can all experience. So for those of us with a womb, we go into that space. And for those of us who don't have it, we stay in that space, in the unified field within our being. And we experience the quality of that space. What is our level of kinship with this space? On all levels, within our womb, within our body, between the subatomic particles, everywhere. How does kinship factor in to this experience of knowing the qualities of this space, knowing that the earth, the water, the fire, and the air are all contained within this space? Just sitting, expanding our awareness out into the womb of creation. Knowing that what we do within the womb of creation, we do within ourselves. And noticing our kinship, our relationship within this womb of creation, with all of the elements present. And notice the qualities within this womb of creation. What qualities do these elements make known to you? And how does strengthening your kinship with the elements at a microscopic level inform your relationship to those elements within the womb of creation? Expand your beingness out, knowing that the answers to those questions are available to you now, and simply absorb them into that unified field within yourself, into your own womb, and feel the truth of that wisdom that's coming in, flowing through the rivers of your being and sparkling like stars in the spaces between everything. I invite you to visualize in this womb of creation that you are being gifted with fertile soil from the womb of creation. You feel into the energy of it. What does this fertile soil within the womb of creation embody? And how does this earth element inform you? And now you are being given, you're holding the fertile soil in your left hand, and your right hand is empty for a moment, and then you are being placed in your right hand is being placed soil that is depleted, like much of the soil on this planet. And so in the cycles of energy flow, you are absorbing in your left hand this fertile soil into your being, the knowledge and the wisdom that is contained therein, and the constant communication that happens with the microscopic organisms in that fertile soil. All of it is going into you and moving through your nervous system. It's the information, the frequency is moving through the flow of water throughout your being. It's flowing into the molecular structure of all that you are. And then as it comes into your left hand through your body, visualize this energy coming out through your right hand, sending it into the soil that is depleted in your right hand and feeding it all that it needs to return to its fertile state of prior perfection. See that soil transformed. See the soil, the feminine essence within your own being transformed. At the same time filled with the purified fire element and a purified air element, all coming into absolute unity and harmony, in complementarity, in reciprocity, within every part of your being. And now as you bring your hands together, unifying these soils, visualize all of the soil throughout Mother Earth, replenished, healed. We can do this from the womb of creation, where everything is still in its prior perfection. This is our gift. When we bring our knowing, our presence, and we choose to resonate with this level of knowing and understanding. The womb of creation is always accepting. And when we need acceptance, whether for ourselves or someone else, we can call on the resources for women within our own womb. And if that feels, we also have the greater womb of creation that we can go to. This is why women are given the ability to birth life. The gift that is within the womb. Is why it is important for the feminine qualities, the feminine elements of earth and water to heal first. So that we may all access and remember this prior perfection. May it, this beauty, this harmony, this joy, this gratitude, and this wisdom awaken in all of humanity. And I thank you for your part in supporting that awakening. Blessed be. And so it is. So, how has that experience informed your perception of kinship and your relationship with kinship? Has it changed at all? Shifted, expanded, anything? Shrunk?
Hi, Deborah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm in my noisy car, but I had to go to work. But that was incredible. I never lost the signal. And I stopped at the gas station for the heart of the meditation. But that kinship, that is a kinship through the space, the unified field, the space between the subatomic particles. That is the kinship I'm looking for, not to disregard the kinship with our fellow humans or our family that we may not feel in resonance with. So that's really great because I have a different perspective or feeling about kinship. And I really like bringing the element of earth in there. And I'd like to go back and listen to do water, fire, air too, and ether, while you could bring those all into the womb and
They're
heal
already
each of those
there.
in that meditation.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it's all there, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to say thanks to everybody, and I was really glad to share this week with you as much as I could, and I will be in touch on the website. And Deborah, so thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Susan. Thank you for being part of this.
Thank you. It's very special. And I was connected with Karina Whitefeather too. And it's interesting you mentioned her because it just flows totally into what you've been doing. So I don't know if you knew her ahead of time, but
I do. We've been in communication. Yes, she's absolutely.
that totally makes sense because I resonate with her. I hadn't been with you before, but I'd spent time with her before in Zoom. So, and I want to connect with her too and do the water ceremonies on the 11th. So see how we all come together in our little pods. Like there's a reason we're all in this little pod in this big ship, right?
Oh, for sure.
So thank you. Yes, thank you. I love you all. Thank you.
Love you too, Susan.
Thanks, Susan.
Henriette, did you want to share something?
Yeah, it was really interesting for me to discover kinship with myself. That was new. And not only with myself, but all the atoms, all the elements. And it brought to me the thought that when you feel this kinship, you really take care of your body, because whenever you don't, it's like neglecting your kinship.
Yes, it is. And it makes us more aware of taking care of the body of the mother as well.
Of course.
Yes.
When we switch to the womb of creation, was like, that was also very interesting because you said, how are the elements here? And they were not separate anymore. They were unified, and it was pure beauty. And taking this beauty into my body, that was really amazing.
Oh, oh, yes, yes, yes.
And also the fertile soil, I had the feeling that my feminine quality was nourished by taking this in.
Oh,
Yeah, it
beautiful.
was really amazing.
That surprised me too, that I don't plan any meditations that I do, but that really surprised me because it felt very powerful as it came through. Yeah, and it really helps us to have that experience of the unity of all of it, that what we do to ourselves when we honor our kinship with ourselves, we are honoring the kinship with all of life, that point of touching the web of life where light just expands outward.
And also healing the soil in this way, it's so powerful. I can do that anytime.
Yes, yes, please do. I invite you all to do that more. Yes, I will too. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Beautiful sharing. Thank you very much. Angela, Amy, David, anything that you'd like to share?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
I could just say exactly what Henrietta said. It really is, and specifically in those ways, it really, it made all the difference in the world. It's a whole new. I saw myself, like when I plant my own plants, I saw myself getting all that new soil. So, and then I saw my roots just going out. So it was beautiful. It was really special. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's beautiful sharing too. Amy and David, any last thoughts or comments?
Just immense gratitude for this week with you. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. And I would love to stay in touch with all of you. So contacting me through my website, I mean, all of my contact information is there. Yeah, SedonaSoulIntegration.com. I'm not in Sedona right now, but that's the website that I set up when I was there, and that's still what it is. So David, any perspective from you?
Oh, just thank you. I'm very grateful for the time this week together. It's been very fruitful.
That's beautiful.
Thank
It's
God.
been such a beautiful week spending this time with you. I'm really going to miss it. Looking forward to this every day has just, it's made my day for sure, all week. And so thank you so much. Thank you for being patient with my, well, it's not too bad. We've gone over 4 minutes, but just in case you want to dash off and do something else in the 7 days of rest, I'll let you all go. Stay in touch, and I look forward to more.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.